evening and welcome to a late tackle. It's been a little while, I'm not going to lie, and I think everything is set up absolutely fine, but do let us know in the chat because it's been a little while. I feel like a virgin all over again, and obviously if I wanted someone to be here with me, to take my virginity with me, it would obviously be Luke. How's it going, Luke? Evening. Well, glad to have you back on.
You didn't prepare me for that kind of intro, man. I wasn't ready for that. So we need to work me in slowly. Just come straight like that.
Here he is. Hopefully everybody can hear you. They'll let us know. But yeah, how's it going, my man?
Yeah, it's all right, man. We were talking just before we come online, and it's like the international break. I don't know. It's one of those things that I used to dread and not really want because I'm an addict ultimately, and I want to be doing something with the team every single day and trying to work out plans. But life's just got so hectic. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm just getting bored with the game. I don't know. But it's been lovely this 2 weeks. It's just like it's bliss. Yeah. Just completely not think about it until now.
When you told me you were an addict before we came on, I was going to say to you, "Nah, mate, it's fine. It's not that bad." But what did you then tell me before we came on?
Oh yeah, I'm doing Saudi fantasy instead. Yeah, don't cancel me, everyone out there. It's like £1 million prize or something. I couldn't resist. You know, I'm like the Sky Player. I used to play for money, and now it's like I'm just playing for, I don't know, kudos or something out on Twitter, which doesn't exactly feel worth it. So I had to fill that void.
It did make me laugh because I was thinking in my head, nah, it's not that bad. And then when you said Saudi fantasy, I thought it is bad, isn't it? Oh, brilliant.
You're only a few years away, Andy. Don't judge me, mate. You're going to be
exactly. Anyway, welcome to the people that have joined us this evening. We've got almost 200 people in the chat already, which is fantastic. Zalkin83, we've got Joachim Ravo in the chat. We've got Derek Knowles, Guna Doy, Greg Frost, who's always there. Greg, thank you for joining us again. Andy the Golf Pro, evening mate, from old Champman days that is. So well done for everybody that's joined us already this evening. We have got a nice, relaxed late tackle that we want to get through because we've got quite a lot to talk about. We haven't been able to get Luke's views for a while, so it's going to be interesting to see what he thinks about some of the injuries and about some of the moves that he's been thinking about making. Amazingly, Luke, we are on the exact same points, which if you'd have said that after 11 weeks, that you'd be on the exact same points as me, would you have been happy about that?
I'm going to say yes because I like you. I don't want to lie to your face. I think it's strange, isn't it, how that works? Because we've had completely different teams. I've literally not had Haaland until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I've not had Semeno for the whole season. For 1 week I've had him, actually, which was the 1 week he blanked. Not had Senesi. So plenty of ways to skin a cat, aren't there? I haven't had any of the good players that have actually done well, but somehow I've managed to get here. I don't even know how, to be honest.
You know why, don't you?
Go on.
Michael Bloody Keane. That's why. Michael Keane's averaged you 15 points every time he's played.
Yeah, that's why I got him. I obviously knew he'd be banging those goals. Absolutely fantastic pick. Him and Rodon. I've got a goal from Rodon as well. Are you saying I've rode my luck, Andy?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm saying that while all these chances are going to get in Senesi and Gabriel, you've been riding on the crest of a wave with Michael Keane.
Old school, mate. Defenders straight up there banging him in. Forget this DEFCON nonsense.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Az is in the chat saying you made it. Was there any doubt, Az? Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. We've obviously given you the night off. You deserve it. You've been working hard. And obviously your grind's got to start this week. Let's have a look then at what we're going to be talking about tonight because we've got our teams. We've actually do have, after a bit of a clamour for it after the last stream, we've got the team data defence from the previous 6 matches and we've got team data attack from the previous 6. So we're going to be showing you those. Az has got those ready for us and we can't wait to show you. We're also going to have a bit of a bumper Q&A at the end as well, just to talk about, you know, all the things that we want to talk about, ready for Game Week 12. Now, before we do, Luke, the big thing we have to talk about, which has been the topic of everybody's list this week, is Gabriel. And obviously, Gabriel, it's come out that he is definitely going to be out for a couple of weeks to a month to maybe 2 months, whatever it's going to be, missing at least 5 or 6 game weeks by the looks of things. Plain and simple, who would you be replacing him with if you were going to replace him?
Virgil van Dijk.
Hey.
I haven't been on Twitter this whole time, but I can imagine he was very, very popular. I've seen like tiniest little bits when I've just started to re-engage that was the person of choice. So nice and boring Virgil van Dijk. I wish I could say something else, but isn't it just pretty clear and obvious move? Maybe and I can see the data in front of you. You're going to tell me it's not, but it feels like it is.
I was going to bring up the data because if you have a look at the team data defense for the last 6 in terms of XG non-penalty per 90. So obviously we're replacing Gabriel. Arsenal are top at 0.50 XG non-penalty per 90, which is pretty elite and significantly higher than third place. Man City are keeping up with them, 0.58. But right down the bottom are Liverpool, 1.83. They have conceded more XG non-penalty per 90 than Burnley and even Manchester United. Are fixtures blinding us, Luke? Are they blinding us? Because everything is pointing to don't invest in Liverpool. You could easily move from Gabriel to, say, Timber with this elite defence that Arsenal are showing. Why the clamour for Virgil van Dijk?
I think when you've played this game enough and had many seasons, you've seen this go all which ways. Like there's examples I can think of where people are going, no, you don't bring the player in because they've been terrible, and they go on a fantastic run. I can even remember. Do you remember? It wasn't even that long ago. Leicester were in the league. I think they opened up the season with like 7 weeks of not getting a single clean sheet. It was the goalkeeper everyone had, and they were terrible.
Ward? Was it Ward?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. And then they went on like a 5 or 6 game streak of like he was getting like 15 pointers every single week when the fixtures turned again. And we've had it the other way around where it's like in seasons where Man City maybe as a more recent one where the first season they kind of dropped off, which no one expected after winning the league, and people were like, nah, they're going to pick it up, they're going to be able to do okay, and they were just terrible for most of the season, kept like I don't know 7 or 8 clean sheets when they've had years and years of keeping around 12 to like 15, 16. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you can learn any lessons really from this kind of thing. Like you just have to have like a process, don't you? And my process is I like fixtures. I think you couldn't really handpick like over a long period such good games. And I think like just looking in front of me, so Forest, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds twice in here, Brighton, Spurs, Wolves, Fulham. None of those attacks scare me. Like Liverpool might be bad defensively, but maybe Brighton, you probably think, oh, they'll probably score. And obviously they're not going to keep like 8 clean sheets in that 9 run. It won't even be close to it. But you're setting yourself up with a chance there, surely, on the fixtures alone. And I just feel like that's why we go for him. I don't think there's been many times where we could try and invest in a Liverpool player and all the data is screaming to us not to do it. That's the biggest thing, isn't it? And I think they've conceded something like 28 big chances this year, which is one of the most of the season as well. And Alisson looks like he's going to be back this week, which could make a massive difference. But I think Slot's already come out and said, I've got 5 fit defenders for this Christmas period, basically. Bradley's now out as well, isn't he? I wouldn't say I've gained confidence over the last couple of days in doing the Van Dijk move. But with DEFCON and the ability for clean sheets, potentially, it's not exactly a bad move, is it? Well, he has got the goal for it, hasn't he? And he has got, he does have that DEFCON ability. And it's like more almost a placeholder, I guess, where you keep the money in the same position. And then, you could, when Gabriel comes back, I think it doesn't matter when he comes back, really. I think everyone will want to get him pretty much the week he comes back. So you'd always got that option if you kind of keep it there. I know that we're getting transfers soon and, it might be too far down the line for anyone to care about that. But I genuinely do just think he's a good option. I think he's been quite unlucky in some games. And you say everything's saying they're bad. Yeah, again, it is only the data really of this small part of this season. It is still a small sample. Like people will say, well, it's the most relevant sample. It's the recent one. It's with the players they've got, in the vibe that the team's in or the moment, as the managers use the word for all the time. But it can change. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. Yeah. So it is a bit of a leap of faith. It's a leap of faith that you're going to get, you're going to have that turnaround over those 9 weeks. The thing is, it's like, there are other options to obviously pick, but I think we're spoiled by Arsenal defence so much because they just always seem to get the clean sheets. If that's what the bread and butter of FPL used to be, and I think it's still pretty close to like they are the most rewarding and most likely sort of big returns that you can get from defenders. Where else are you going if you don't look at that? There's no other team that you can just pick a player and just kind of leave him in for that period of time and be comfortable. Like any other player where I go, oh yeah, Cucurella might be brilliant versus Burnley and he could score, but then he's got Arsenal the week after. It's like, I don't want to mess with that. I just want a guy I can just believe in there. Don't want to make transfers at the back if I can help it. And that's why he just serves that purpose.
Yeah, and even someone like Timber, don't get me wrong, he's got White is no threat to him at the moment. But over the busy Christmas period, surely he's going to miss one game. Whereas Van Dijk isn't going to miss any games, is he? Basically, over that Christmas period, you like you just said, you're going to bring him in and not have to move him at all, aren't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought he'll miss one. I mean, everyone can miss one, can't they? Like, even I think Bruno, for example, in past has had like 45 minutes off, like during the season. Like, he literally got a half.
That was his holiday, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, like, you know, and Salah has been benched in the past, you know, when he was even nailed for like 45 minutes as well. So when we say they're not going to miss a game, they might miss a few minutes, but he's definitely in that category. I think Timber's actually pretty close. I think people probably oversell how much. I think he's just so good. I think he's much better than White. Yeah. I think White, people remember what White was, and he hasn't been that player for a long time. I know he hasn't really had the opportunity to show it. Injuries have probably gone that way. So yeah, you wouldn't put him in the same category as Van Dijk, but probably very close. And I do think he is also a great option. It's just that I think with the defensive contributions, I think the goal, I know the XGI says that Timber has got some decent threat from open play, but I still genuinely believe the best chance for defenders to score in the current meta is just to score from a corner, and Van Dijk is very good at doing that, or at least getting on the end of it. So, you know, if you were to ask me who scores more goals between Timber and Van Dijk in the next 9 weeks, I mean, they probably both score 0, right? But if I was to bet, it would be Van Dijk that would score more goals. So yeah, I just think he's the better pick, like just about. Timber's fine too, though.
There is somebody that's been picking up more points in both of them in the last 3 weeks, and obviously it's great. It's great we've got you on, because Nico O'Reilly has been absolutely balling, and you obviously, you know, you look at the data. City aren't too bad in terms of defence. You know, they're second behind Arsenal, 0.58 XG non penalty per 90 in the last 6. Nico O'Reilly's there. I mentioned on BlackBox that Mateus Nunes is also there. I would say both of them are kind of first choice, but you might say a little bit different to that. Talk us through any of those Man City assets, because people moving off Arsenal might want to go to the second best defence in the league.
Second best defence in the league? I didn't quite realise. Well, is that the last 6 or just over the season?
Last six, yeah.
Yeah. I think they are good picks. I think that Nunes and O'Reilly are certainly first choice. It's just we are now, like everyone knows, they've been through this so many times. We're now entering the period where there's games every 3 days. There is competent competition. So you've got the opportunity for rest just based on stamina. You've obviously then got the rest or dropping because Pep wants to use a different plan. And he's done that numerous times where he sets up differently for different opponents. I don't really think that's a thing at the moment with Pep. Like, he seems to have found a setup that's working. Like, there will always be minor tweaks, right? Like, for example, Bernardo Silva played in midfield last week rather than Reinders. I think that was particular to the game. But there's not too many worlds where you can't see O'Reilly and Nunes starting. Like, maybe if you wanted to play Kushinov as a right back and then use like a back 3 kind of setup, and then you'd use Ait-Nouri in that setup, I think, because he is actually better. You know, O'Reilly has been very good going forward, but Ait-Nouri is really good at going forward into that 10 role. He hasn't really had the opportunity to show it yet for Man City, but Pep keeps talking about it. So, like, could that happen for a game or two? Yeah. The worry with Pep is always like, let's say he has a bad game, or there's a couple of bad games where Man City don't get a result. He tries that new setup in a particular game and it works really well. Suddenly your player might just be benched for 4 games, right? That's the thing that's happened. So there's never any time anyone can say for absolute sure this won't happen, because Pep's done it. You can go back over years and look at all the different players that he's had an opportunity. There's very few players that have managed to say, no, I'm just going to play 37, 38 games for them at the back. But having said all that, I just think O'Reilly is a really good pick. The left back for Man City has been like a source of points for a long time now. Like, the way they set up a lot, they always seem to get in the box. Doesn't matter what system he plays, they always seem to have a little bit of license. He's such a good player as well, isn't he? I think he's really good. He's really a midfielder, so it's a surprise that, you know, he's worked out so well there. And the games, again, come back to the games are so good. So I think you might get like a rest around. We've got a dodgy period now, haven't we? We've got sort of Leverkusen, Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland. They're all relatively close. And it wouldn't surprise me if, I think it's game week 13 where people are looking to do that free hit, where it's like a short turnaround. You know, of all the games that you think, well, maybe you can bring Ait-Nouri back in for, it might be that Leeds game, or hopefully you'd want it in the Leverkusen game. Yeah. Like, if it was to happen there, then great. So I do think he will miss like 1 or 2, but hopefully he'll be like a 0 or 90 person. And we talked about this before. You don't really think he'll be bought. You know, hopefully, you can't guarantee it, can you? But you wouldn't really think that he would be a prime substitute candidate to come on in a game. So I think it's probably worth a go. I think there's a lot of people who who have been asking me about it and I've been talking about it. I think given the price and the fixtures, I would be willing to take the punt. It's just I don't have, I think Van Dijk is probably a better pick, so that's where I'm going. Yeah, but O'Reilly would be close.
That was going to be
a long answer.
That's all right. That was going to be my next question to you, was if you had to rank them now, if you had to rank Van Dijk, Timber and O'Reilly, would it be as easy as just to say Van Dijk because the security's got to be top? But how would you rank them at the moment?
I think I'd rank them like that. O'Reilly third. I mean, no matter how you frame it, the reason we're asking the question and we're a bit worried and the percentage of ownership is a lot lower is because it's for an obvious reason. The crowd's informed. They know who the probably more safe and reliable picks are. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Like, the ownership tells that story. Mm-hmm. And it might gradually creep up. But yeah, I mean, ideally what you want is Ait-Nouri. Like, Ait-Nouri's just not going to not play, is he? He was literally bought to play that position as well. Yeah. Pretty clear. He started the season in that position. He did pretty well, got injured, and O'Reilly's taken it for now. But yeah, you kind of want Ait-Nouri to play Leverkusen. Like, Pep has had a thing in the past as well of using his more lightweight players in the Champions League. I think because of the physicality. So he plays Rico Lewis in the Champions League quite a lot. Not in maybe the biggest games, but most of the group stage games and stuff. And then he even played Sergio Gomez, who never got any games for Man City, but in the Champions League he'd turn up quite often. Yeah, well, quite often. He'd play at least
more often. Yeah,
more often. So Ait-Nouri, I don't think he's by any means weak, but I think he's probably weaker than O'Reilly. He's just a bit of a unit, isn't he? So to bed him in, maybe he gets the Leverkusen game, which would be ideal if he were to go there. But I do feel Ait-Nouri's going to play one of these next 4 or 5 games. It's just when it's going to happen.
What if we put in some of the Crystal Palace boys in the mix? What if we put Gahey, Lacroix, Munoz, Richards? Obviously, they're all varying prices. They're all got. I mean, Munoz is basically a right winger. But if you didn't have a Palace defender yet and you weren't tripled up on Palace, where would you put those in the mix if you had to replace Gabriel?
I'll throw it back to you because I've been answering a lot. I don't have a Palace defender, and it scares me. It scares me. I think particularly this week. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Because they're all pretty good, aren't they?
They are all pretty good, to be perfectly honest. And they're all good for varying reasons as well. I mean, Richards is so cheap, but he just keeps hitting DEFCON. Lacroix and Gahey seem to be those ones that are able to flick the ball on from those long throws, so they've got the attacking potential there as well. And Munoz is Munoz. I've got Munoz, but I've been disappointed with the fact that he doesn't obviously get the DEFCONs merch, whereas the central defenders are. So I think they've got to be right up there, personally, because Palace, I mean, if you look here from the last 6, the only thing you would say is Palace is 16th, 1.42 XG non-penalty per 90, but they have had the hardest fixtures. So I think they've got to be up there because you can trust them. They've got a smaller squad. Obviously, they've got a lot more fixtures because of, they're playing in Europe and like every single cup competition they could possibly play in. But I think if I didn't have if I didn't have Van Dijk, if I didn't have O'Reilly, Timber, or any Palace, I think I would be getting a Palace defender. I think I'd probably still get Van Dijk over them. And I think I would still get Timber as well. I think they would probably come in a close third below those two.
And if you had to pick one? Guns to the head.
Well, I went Munoz. And I still think Munoz is the shout because you can go through those weeks where they're not keeping clean sheets, whereas he can still... He could just get assists and goals in any game. He is absolutely ridiculous. And I changed my formation for him. I changed to playing 4-4-2 so I could get Munoz in. And I think it was an okay decision, to be perfectly honest. So I think Munoz would still be my choice.
Yeah, looking at their fixture run again just looking at it in more detail, I think I said about Liverpool and Van Dijk, no one comes close. Theirs is pretty close, isn't it? Outside Man City. Again, the teams they're playing, like maybe 3 of the next 4, Wolves, Burnley, Fulham, the way they're attacking at the moment, there's potential for like 3 clean sheets there, isn't there? And play Man United in that as well. Maybe they could get a clean sheet there, but you probably wouldn't put them down there for one. City, they then play, like I said, and then it's Leeds, Spurs, and Fulham again. And it's like Leeds and Spurs aren't exactly flowing either. So it seems like they're quite a lot. Like I really wish I had one, to be honest. I'd prefer to have a Palace defender than Michael Keane, and that was always the plan. But all these injuries,
Slander
coming up. Yeah, he's done me well though. To be fair, I know I'd probably just go. I know it's slightly dodgier than the others, but I still think Richards is probably just the best value.
Yeah.
So I think team dependent is a cop-out answer, isn't it? But it really is depending on how much money you got left. If you've got the money and no reason to use it, then you just go Manoz. But otherwise, I think you can come right down to Richards. But the other two are great as well, aren't they?
The important question, by the way, which is from Heather in the chat, saying, bit off topic, but Luke, behind you on the wall, you've got Alien, and what are the other posters?
Okay, so that one's from Dark Souls.
Nice.
No, not from Dark Souls. Totally wrong. Elden Ring, my mistake. Same type of game. And that's just a random space photo.
Nice.
Don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't realise you were still at uni, by the way, so fair play.
I got conned by one of them. You know when you're on like TikTok and all that and you flick the adverts and they come up with like these metal posters that you stick a magnet on the back. Someone said right at the point, what do you want for your birthday? I was like, I'll have that. I literally don't know anymore. Just get me one of them. So yeah, that's what I've got now.
Oh, it's lovely, mate. It's lovely. And people do chuck in your chats because we'll try and answer as many as possible at the end and I'll go back. But obviously, if you chuck in a super chat, then we will definitely answer it. Now, obviously, Gabriel has been the talk of the town for quite a while since his injury that he picked up in international break. But the other player that's been getting a lot of coverage as well over the last couple of days is Semeno. Semeno went off, I think it was 55 minutes into the game during his international duty. Turned out he proposed. We thought maybe he just went off to go and propose, but it does look like he is actually carrying some sort of an injury. Iraola came out today and said, yeah, he's touch and go as to whether he's going to play. In terms of Semeno, and I'm going to bring up the attacking data from the previous 6, which, as is in the chat, I'm assuming this one looks absolutely fine. If you look at the attacking data from the previous 6, now you've already said about Semeno, you've only owned him once this year so far. Obviously, he's still one of the highest scoring players, but hasn't done it that much over the last over the last 5 or 6 weeks. Missed a penalty last week as well. Kluivert is out, so if Semeno plays, Kluivert's on pens. I'm seeing a lot of people selling him. An awful lot of people selling Semeno. Maybe they've got funds to get an Mbumo in. Maybe they're going for Cunha. Maybe they haven't got Sarr yet, and they're getting him in. Give us your thoughts on Semeno. As somebody that is a non-owner, obviously you can see it as somebody that doesn't have him and maybe doesn't have any kind of loyalty bias there. Tell us your thoughts about Semeno at the moment, because Bournemouth have obviously started the season very well, but they've hit a little bit of a dip at the moment. So just, talk us through Semeno.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the form, like doing well and then not doing so well. That's never been really my bag. Kind of got a love-hate relationship with him because I think he's a really good player and I really liked him and I owned him for large parts last season. But then obviously not picking him and then not having him for the time where everything he's touched has turned into points has made me irrationally hate the man.
Yeah.
So
fair.
Yeah, I mean, surely people can relate to that. So now I just hate him for no apparent reason. I mean, his data's never been great in terms of this guy's going to get you loads of goals and assists. His XGI per 90's never been fantastic. And I know at the beginning of the season, Andy, you were saying you don't think he's really got that in him necessarily. But people do go for those periods where everything they touch just falls in. I think he's probably, Liverpool are now interested in him, aren't they? Apparently the news is that they're going to be getting him. He takes a lot of shots. So, he's always got a chance. He's always buying a ticket to the lottery. I do really like him, and I had planned to maybe bring him in this week because, again, it's the start of the good fixtures. Because I wildcarded 2 weeks ago, so it made no sense for me to have him because they had their kind of little bit iffy run. And then this was the week where I had maybe I get him in this week. The fact that there's now an injury sort of doubt around him means that I can probably avoid it. But that also scares me because I feel like with his crazy ownership and then West Ham, it's just written that he's going to start and just do really well. Like, it's perfectly aligned, doesn't it? Like you said, with Kluivert also being out, that he's just probably going to be on penalties as well. For me now, it's come to this point where it's like it's an EO play for me now. I don't know if anyone listens or ever watched the Solio podcast this week with Trout on it, and he's just like, well, he's basically a genius. He's what I would like to be in FPL, where he talks really, really well. And if anyone's interested in this kind of thing, effective ownership and how to be different in this game. And I was going to recommend this to Az as well, because I know that Az talks about this a lot, right? Even last, when you was it Wednesday when you guys had your pod on BlackBox, and you're saying about, oh, you're so boring just doing the boring moves, Andy, if you do that, rah, rah, rah. The way that Trout plays is like to pick these players that are just as good or maybe just tiny little bit less optimal, but their ownership is so much less. So he puts himself in that position where he's either going to have an absolute blinder of a season or he'll be right down the bottom. But he's happy to do that in the quest for that golden season.
Yeah.
And it's so just taking inspiration from that, and I've always liked to play like that. There are other players that are probably as good a picks as Semeno right now in that position, and his effective ownership is so high that I prefer to take the chance and say, do you know what? I don't want to just go along with the crowd. I want to find someone that's different, because it tells me, even if I look at analytical tools or whatever, vibes, however you want to do it, there are other players that are just as good. So I'm happy to take that chance. Other managers aren't like that. They want to just go with the crowd and go, look, he's a good pick and I'll go with him. And he could do fine, but there are other picks that are probably just as good. So for that reason, for me, I probably won't be getting him, because it's just mucking in with the crowd if I get him now.
The interesting thing about that, though, and so I speak about this quite a lot, where I've muted quite a lot of people on Twitter that play. Yeah, no, I know that
Never.
play in a really kind of exciting way, if that makes sense, because you kind of get drawn into that. Oh wow, they're picking someone different, and I quite like that. And I would say that with that kind of way of playing that you just mentioned there, would you do that every time? So every time you had a decision to make, would you always go with the player that's performing about the same or just a little bit lower but has lower EO, or would you pick and choose your moments?
Well, it really depends what your goal is, doesn't it? This is the thing, how much you want to engage with risk. And this is why that pod's so good, is like you can literally say, right, this season, I'm going to do it every single time. I'm going to take that route. Or you can say, right, this is my rank this week, and then you can make a decision based on that. How much do you want to expose yourself to rank? So the cop-out answer, again, is every single decision is an individual decision for me personally and where I am. So, in past seasons, and you guys can see from if you go look at my rank history, I've done really well. And then I had about 6 seasons where I didn't own Salah for pretty much the whole time, because I was already kind of playing like that, where I was like, do you know what? Everyone, I got bored with everyone picking the same players. I don't care about having a nice little high rank, which I have every single season, like this in and about the top million, and I can talk about it. Especially when you start playing this game from like 2014 with a dead team, didn't make a transfer. My record was already like cursed from the start, if you know what I mean. If that wasn't on there, maybe I wouldn't played like this. I'd have just played in that way. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna throw 5 seasons at this, not having Salah, in the hope that one time he'll have a dead season and I will absolutely smash it. Typical that I pick it when Salah's the greatest FPL pick of all time and hits like 300 points every season. But you can see examples this year and last year, can't you, where again I did it with the Salah Haaland thing. I've got it wrong both times, but all it takes is to go right. Trout, for example, this season, he started with Haaland when everyone else went Salah. He also started with double Arsenal defence. So these are like the data and the teams of who those individual players are and their history showed him that those players are really, really good picks. People will probably move to them. They're just as good, or maybe just below some of the picks that we were picking. And if everyone else is on them and I'm on these guys, I'm going to have that golden season. And that first 6 weeks, he was like right up there. Yeah. It's very hard to keep it, but he's given himself that opportunity to maybe have that golden season. So it really depends, again, what is your goal? Like, do you just want to muck in? Do you want to, do well in your mini leagues? Get a consistent high finish, or do you really want to just go for it, essentially? And it doesn't mean go for it by getting Kante back in, although Kante would probably be one of the best players this season.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah. But do you know what I mean? You don't go crazy. You don't go get Elanga and twats like that as. You go... sorry. You go for, players that have got comparable EV, comparable potential.
Yeah, I do like it. I mean, because obviously a lot of people out there, and I would say majority of people out there want to win their mini leagues. And if you can have a good season that is, top 200k, top 150k, I would say you win most mini leagues that are out there, wouldn't you? And obviously you don't have to chase that risk and that upside if you just want to finish around there, I wouldn't say. Whereas like you said, if you want that kind of slumdog season, that Slumdog Millionaire season where everything goes right, then yes, you do have to kind of chase that, don't you?
Well, you're putting yourself in a position for it to happen more often. Again, there's no guarantees. You can play really consistently and pick a really good team. Like I think as team, like no joke, is pretty good, for example, and he's just doing bad. Like that can happen as well.
Yeah.
We don't control that part of the game. What we can control is our exposure to risk, and that's what's so good about this podcast, and what I really recommend for anyone to listen to it.
So if you had Semeno then, if you had Semeno, he's flagged, would you be saying to yourself, right, this is my opportunity to take some risk and go with someone else? But who would you be going to? Because obviously we've said it already. We've got Bruno, Mbeumo, Cunha, they're all there. I can't believe we're talking about Man United players. What a time to be alive. You've got players like that there. Knowing that quite a few people are going to Mbeumo, would you sidestep to Cunha, or do you think Mbeumo's enough of a risk already? As in for EO?
I don't know what their ownership is. I haven't looked because I haven't looked at the decision myself. But I mean, there's one that's popped up this week potentially, isn't there? In Gakpo, I think Gakpo. I don't know what his ownership is, so maybe it's higher because he started the season quite well. But when you throw in the Wirtz injury, the fixtures, he's the kind of player where I would say if Gakpo's minutes are high, is probably comparable, if not maybe even better than Semeno at certain minutes. I haven't checked this. People would have to go look on various tools, or maybe it's just vibes if that's what you want to roll with. But if I said to you, Gakpo's nailed to play 80 minutes over this Liverpool run, I think that I'm not stupid, am I, in saying that he could match Semeno or do better than Semeno? Maybe I am being stupid, but I think that he's definitely potential to do it. So he's the kind of player which I assume has got a low ownership, which you could move to. And there are a number of others, like you've mentioned, in Mbeumo, other players that are there, and that is the challenge often to find these guys. But again, that's why I like to use a lot of these tools that even if you can't name them completely offhand, I mean, there's loads like SAR and everything that other guys that you could do. You can have a look and see, wow, this guy's comparing quite well. Do I want to go for him? And then you can look at the fact that we know everyone's ownership now, not just live in the game, but the effective ownership, just gives you that opportunity to take those risks. Yeah,
it does. I mean, it's something that obviously the other thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about tonight before we look at our teams as well is the fact that obviously in Gameweek 16 we get topped up to 5 free transfers, which we've never had before. We haven't had everybody being in the same position of we're all going to be topped up. So no matter how you've played before this, what chips you played, whatever it is, everybody's topped up to 16. Now we're going into Game Week 12 and we've got 5 weeks until that Game Week 16 where we all get topped up. What do you think is the best way to play it? Is the best way to play it to use your transfer every week because you know you're going to get topped up to 5? Is your best one to do in Game Week 15, use your 5 free transfers, then you've got 5 free transfers the next week and you can just roll with them for ages? What do you think straight away you're looking at it and going, this will be the optimal way to play for me?
Yeah, it is quite a tricky thing because we haven't obviously had this kind of situation. I don't know what decision you've come to, but it's almost like a halfway dead end, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's because you kind of think you want to use all your transfers because you don't want to throw any away, because obviously we get topped up, don't we? And then if you don't use them, you're basically going to lose them. But at the same time, the players that you bring in, if they're not players you don't want for the long term, you're then going to have to use those transfers after Game Week 16 to take those guys out.
Yep.
So you're kind of limited, I would say, on how many sort of 1 week punts that you can take. And I don't really want to be in a position to do that. I'd rather use them to correct my team into the better team and then bank and take as many transfers out of it. I know that's the boring answer, but that's probably the best play, I would say, overall, if you can make it. But you have to be careful that you're not leaving points on the board, don't you, as ever in this game? There's long-term planning and there is short-term planning. I think the way that, because I've wildcarded and I've got free transfers, I almost am forced to use more than I probably would in these next coming weeks. So everyone's going to be in their own individual situation, aren't they? Some people have got like 10 flags this week and 1 free transfer. Yeah. Which is crazy. But for me, I'll almost be forced. But I think what I'll probably try to do is maybe jump on a Man City player or something in and around just, while their fixtures are good, and then maybe come off of them quickly. But it really does depend. I mean, who can say what's going to happen in the next few weeks when the games come thick and fast? Maybe injuries will make it so that it'll be easy. I mean, Gabriel's already one that's happened. If Haaland gets injured next week, suddenly everyone will be going crazy.
Well, I genuinely think that those people that have held a few transfers now have hit jackpot with Gabriel and Semeno. I genuinely think they can easily move. Everybody was saying they wanted to get some Liverpool players in for this run, and obviously it kind of feels risk-free because of the injuries that have happened and because in Game Week 16 we all get 5 free transfers. But Gakpo today, I wasn't expecting Wirtz being out for 4 weeks and Bradley being out as well. So obviously Szoboszlai could now fill in at right back. It could be Jones or whatever it is. Like it's a bit of a mess at the right back there. But Gakpo now becoming an option, like you just said, that just seems too good an opportunity to turn down. If you've got a few free transfers and you know we're basically all mini wildcarded in 16, if that's the way you want to play it, I think it's too good to turn down.
Yeah, I mean, it really does depend on the length of the Wirtz injury, doesn't it, I suppose? Because we haven't really... Didn't he say in his press conference that Bradley's out for 3 weeks and Wirtz won't be as long as that, or something along those lines?
Oh, was it? For some reason I saw 4 weeks, but I could have made that up.
Yeah, no, I think there was like a troll tweet going around that he's out for 6 weeks, but it's not even a proper thing. So that's always the worry, is like we want to play safe, whereas... You know, if you give this information to people that don't care, they'd just be like, bring him in. I mean, 2 or 3 weeks could end up being quite a few games, couldn't it? And if you get, the bottom line is, if you get the next 3 games for Liverpool, which I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but they're Sunderland,
Forest, West Ham, Sunderland,
yeah. If you get those 3 weeks and then you're in a position where you've got your 5 transfers coming up and everything, then you've probably done well there.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably worth it in that situation. Before this week, I was probably going to do Enzo to Szoboszlai. I know you were talking about him on Wednesday saying you're not really feeling that move, but now with these injuries to the right backs, I'm just a bit more hesitant to do it, even though I still think he is a good option in that position.
Get Defcon.
It's not just that. It's the fact that he's on 4 yellow cards as well, right? It feels like you're forcing it. And then obviously Enzo looks like he's probably going to be fit. So now it's like you're forcing it, whereas before it was like that's the option if Enzo's out.
Yeah. Well, shall we have a look at your team then? So let's have a look at your team. So this is the team you sent me. This is before any moves, I'm assuming. But you said you got 3 free transfers. So talk us through what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm someone who gets wedded to a plan, and then when it gets thrown out, I'm really upset. I don't like that. I like to just carry on anyway. It's like I'm just going to play Gabriel every week and hope that it's fine.
Well, because you got Michael Keane first on your bench, so you've got the security that not everybody else has.
Yeah, and Rodon. I mean, he's going to get his goal again. I can see that now.
Don't mention that to us.
Yeah, Goodmanson. Genuinely, I weighed up Goodmanson and Rodon for ages on my wildcard, longer than I should have. So I don't know I ended up on the right side of that, because usually it goes Pete on for me, but I managed to do it. I mean, to be honest as well, looking at the tools, it actually favours Mukalele over Rodon and Keane this week, which I'm not so sure about. I just think Villa's attack away from home is pretty bad and Leeds at home are pretty good, but I don't know. I could easily leave points on the bench here and get that wrong. I think between even Keane, I wouldn't say is like you could play him, right? So between Rodon, Keane and Mukalele, I'm not sure who will play. Anyway, the moves I'm going to do. Gabriel's going to go to Van Dijk. Yeah, I know that's boring as hell. And that is probably it. I kind of wanted to lose Enzo, but now, like I've just discussed, I think it's probably forcing it.
Yeah.
And I can just leave it another week. I've then got 3 free transfers next week, and again, I'm going to have to use them. I'm going to have to find places to use them pretty soon, but I think I'm forcing it with anything else this week, to be honest with you. Like, maybe I could bring... Anderson, I think, is a great option, right? I've had Anderson the whole time, as in Fulham's Anderson. Had him right up to the wild card, and he was injured, so I couldn't pick him. And then he came back sooner than we expected. He's obviously got a great game this week, so ideally I could in my plan I had Keane to Anderson sort of penciled in around this time as well. But then the fixtures go pretty off for Fulham for a while, so I think I'll probably just have to leave it and then come back to him later. Yeah,
it's funny actually because before the Gabriel injury, it was going to be Anderson I was getting as well. So it was going to be Van de Ven to Anderson. Because I just think Anderson's I think he gets DEFCON 70% of the time at the moment. And he just seems... I was saying to Az on Wednesday, the problem is Fulham are quite bad at the moment. They're not as solid as they used to be. And they are kind of, what are they, 16th at the moment, I think it is. They're going through a little bit of a tough time. But your team looks good, though. I think that midfield looks pretty tasty. I think you've got to be pretty happy with that midfield. Have you got any temptation to go Saka captain? Because obviously everything we've just mentioned there with EO, Saka looks to be a little bit better in terms of projections. Especially, I was looking at Rob T stuff the other day, and Saka's up there.
Yeah, well, this comes back again, and I even saw someone put it in the chat here about who you think is going to score the most points is more important than EO, and that's the case if you're all absolutely, but who you think is going to score the most points isn't always the person who scores the most points, because if that was the game, we'd all be OR1 like straight away all the time. So sometimes you you can't control the amount of points you get, so you can go for someone for a similar level with a lower EO in the chance that the popular one fails and you fly. That's just explaining that chat. Anyway, so having said all that, I'm going to dismiss it. As a person who has not owned Haaland for all of the season, maybe it's just psychological. I feel like I just think Haaland's going to smash it. Like, even away to Newcastle, the guy terrifies me. And it's not even the O-Wise. I just think he's just going to score goals at the moment. So I think Haaland scores the most points this week, which is controversial because the games aren't that, that don't necessarily say that. So that's why I'm captaining him. It's as simple as that this time. I'm not going to expose myself to any risk or whatever, even consider it, because I just think Haaland's better than the other options.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to do it. Could be wrong. We were wrong last week, right? Saka outscored him last week. But no, there's no temptation for me. I want to captain Haaland this week and probably most weeks. And that's just the way it is.
No,
I'm
fair.
happy with my 800k rank. I'll just sit here and relax.
Yeah, some people want to try and win FPL. Some people just want to try and win their mini leagues. It's fine.
I think that's gone for me this season, so I'm just going to settle in.
That's fair. As long as you're not kind of hovering around 5 million overall rank, you're doing fine, aren't you? Right. Let's have a look at. My
It's
team.
funny because he always says 4 million, and then I looked the other day and I was like,
Yeah.
You're 23 to you're 24 or whatever it is. Gift came to mind.
Yeah, I've seen those. Right, so this is my team. For anybody listening on the pod, I got Raya in goal, Mukiele, Senesi and Munoz, with Xhaka, Semeno, Bruno Fernandes, Saka, Sarr, Mateta and Haaland, because obviously I got Gabriel on the bench because he's injured at the moment. So I am playing Mukiele this week, most likely, unless I play Xhaka instead. It looks like I will be doing Gabriel to Van Dijk. I've been looking at it a lot. I was really tempted to move to Timber. And the reason I was tempted to move to Timber is because I think I'm being blinded ever so slightly by the next 2 fixtures for Arsenal. I do worry a little bit with that when Gabriel was out last season, they did struggle a little bit more. And I know it was because they had Kiwior to come in, as opposed to this year they've got Mosquera and they got... hang on, got to say it right. Hincapie. There you go, got it right. That was for Indy, who butchered me for saying it wrong on Wednesday. So I do think that's obviously better, and their system in general just looks better this year, and they are set up to kind of keep clean sheets. But I do wonder whether waiting these 2 weeks is a good idea for Arsenal, and just seeing what happens in these next 2 weeks. Because if either Mosquera or Hincapie do well, you could move to one of them, I guess. Well, although Gabriel will be back a little bit sooner than that. But yeah, I think probably Van Dijk's probably the way to go. But I'm not in love with my team this week. I've got to play Semeno, but then I'll have Xhaka to come in if he doesn't play. I'm not in love with it, but then I do have players that people are trying to get to in the Palace boys. I've already got Munoz, already got Saka, already got Bruno. So it doesn't feel that bad. But yeah, I'm not in love with it. I got 0 in the bank and 1 free transfer. So yeah, kind of is what it is at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you say you're not in love with it, but I think when you get Van Dijk in, we've literally got 3 starting players different. Yeah. And you like my team.
But who are your 3?
One of mine's Rodon. So,
but you've also got Enzo and Minter, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, they look nice on the eye, those two. In terms of actual returns, struggling most weeks, unfortunately. So yeah, when you break it down, probably only got really 2 players different. So it's crazy how much just having that little Fulham away, for example, looks like a little bit worse, but it's probably not that much worse, is it?
Do you know what I found really hard this year? And I tried my best to change it when I did my 2 transfers the other week. Is looking at players and not thinking not looking like I used to, and looking at players and thinking they're bad players, if that makes sense. Like looking at someone like Mukiele, Senesi, Xhaka, and looking at them and thinking, actually, they're good now, if that makes sense. Like, Xhaka can get his DEFCON. They could keep a clean sheet against Fulham. He gets 5 points, and that's a return. That's like an old school assist, isn't it? And Munoz, I keep looking at Munoz at 4 at the back sometimes and thinking, but he's not a defender, really. Like, he's how we used to look at Trent, isn't it? And I'm finding it hard to adjust my brain to look at a team and go, oh, that's a good team, if that makes sense. Whereas I'm looking at my team now thinking, oh, God, there's not much upside in that, is there? Not much attacking upside. But, of course, this year, it's not about the attacking upside. It's about how many DEFCONs they can get and whether they can get their bonuses defenders as well. So I'm still trying to switch it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's where I know you don't really use them, but that is where using like Solio and stuff can help you, because you can look at it and just look at the raw number of their expected points, and it's usually better than the player or very close to it. And you're like, oh, okay, like, it's fine. Gives me that self-confidence. Like, oh, okay, it should be all right. There's people in the chat, they're saying that Keel was very good and they don't think Arsenal defence will go down much. I do actually agree with that. I think Kirill was really good last year, even when he came in, and Arsenal defence was still pretty good. But
they only kept 2 clean sheets when Gabriel went out.
I saw that. I do think clean sheets are noisy, though, aren't they? Sometimes, in the sense that you can just get unlucky.
I just think they've upgraded this year. That's all I'm saying. They agreed to let Kirill go. He's Porto now, I think, isn't it? So they agreed to let him go because they wanted to bring in these other 2 lads, Mosquera and Hincapie. And obviously I genuinely think they've done well in upgrading. And usually when I say that, Arsenal fans will go, yeah, thank you. Whereas this year they're saying, no, Kirill wasn't that bad.
I do think people throw the whole it's a system defence thing around, but it's just Arsenal as a team, isn't it? Under the coach of Arteta, it's the way that they strangle games. They don't allow chances to happen. It's as simple as that. And it's not just an individual player. It's Zubimendi, it's Rice, it's the whole team, the way they press from the front, everything, where they allow the spaces. Like, that's going to maintain, like, it's going to make a slight difference. I think if you check the Rob T's odds or something, they went down like 1% or 2% or something by Gabriel being out. So
to the detriment of their attack, because I was just going to say that, but obviously they are second in terms of team attack data from the last 6, 1.86 xG non-penalty per 90 over the last 6, only bettered by Chelsea that are significantly higher at 2.06. But one of the biggest things that, I've said it quite a bit this year, is that I haven't massively liked the idea of captaining Saka at any point, because I just get the impression Arsenal always want to win 1-0 and walk away. And it worries me like that. Like last week, it was different. Sunderland scored first. They had to attack. 2-2. Lovely. Saka can get some attack and returns. I worry that I don't ever put Saka in the captaincy debate. I never put him up there. And I don't know whether that's an error from me or whether that's what I'm seeing from them defensively this year. Their numbers are solid. If I'm ever thinking about captaining a Liverpool player, they're the same as Arsenal. But I just worry that, I don't know, whether I'm being blinded by their defensive mindedness at the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do think it's probably a mistake, but it's hard to say that when Haaland just is doing Haaland things, right? If you were to remove him from the equation, who would you be captain at the moment? Like, probably wouldn't be Salah, and you'd probably end up defaulting to Saka, I would have thought, for most games. I don't really agree with the whole they go out to win a game 1-0. They just go out to dominate and smother the game and not allow chances. And also, like, if you asked Arteta, do you want to win 1-0 or 5-0? He's obviously going to say 5-0, isn't he? And the players out there aren't thinking, I better not score another goal. Like that's not what's happening. And their data is decent. It's very hard to create chances in football. Like it is. Like the teams are so good and so well organised. And I think last year, Arsenal in particular really struck. People were going, they need to get a number 9. They need to get a number 9. But I think if you spoke to most Arsenal fans, they would have said, well, it wasn't really the number 9. They just struggled to create chances. And it's been a thing for a while. But eventually, the teams usually find a way. And if they smother and dominate so well, they'll find little tweaks and players will come into form and things will just start flying in like it happens. So I don't know. I just have so much faith in Saka as a player. I think his numbers outside of the season have been so good when he's been available. And I just think he'll turn it around, and he'll start scoring points. Whether he'll reach Haaland levels is, another thing. But I do think he's a fine captain, personally.
Yeah, but you're not tempted at all this week.
I am slightly tempted. The thing with Spurs, I just don't really like that game. I feel like Spurs are going to be, they're just not even going to try and play football.
They're good away from home. They are very good away from home.
I've heard a lot of that as well. Yeah, and
they are. They're terrible at home.
Yeah, I was almost like, I hear a lot of people saying, it'll be a deep block, it'll be a bust that they're fighting. It's like, but those are still the games that people end up winning 3 or 4-0 a lot of the time. I don't think it makes much of a difference. But in my head, I just don't really like the fixture that much. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's right. It's fine. People in the chat are loving your takes on Arsenal, by the way. So we've obviously got a lot of Arsenal fans in there. We've got almost 800 people in the chat, by the way. So I love the Friday slots. Everybody's just literally wanting to know what to do with their teams, which is great. So now's your chance to ask us. So chuck us in your questions and we will answer as many as possible in, should we say, the next 9 minutes? So we'll answer as many as possible and we'll finish at 10:30, which would be an hour pod, which is not too bad. So Friday slots, yeah, that's probably Arnie's quiz team name. Sorry, I couldn't get that out. AT says, do I start Senesi or Lacroix as a Munoz owner? So what would you do, Luke? Would you double up and get Lacroix, play Lacroix with Munoz, or would you play Senesi?
God.
I want to play all of them.
Exactly. That's what my thought was. Do you want the really boring answer? I'd go and look at the clean sheet odds and play the one that's got the highest clean sheet odds.
Nice.
Which I'd probably want to play Lacroix, actually. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Over Senesi.
Neil Cheeseman says, do I bench Reece James or Caicedo?
Is Reece James due to start? Is he predicted to start?
I think
He's
so.
had a big gap now, hasn't he?
He missed the last game, or missed the start of the last game, and then has had 2 weeks off. So he's been fit for a year now. Do you know that? But he's actually been fit to start for a whole year. First time in God knows how long. Bless him.
So his fitness is in form. I would start Reece James.
Yeah.
You? Burnley aren't going to score it. Well, they might score.
Yeah, but Caicedo's generational. James WW says, is Cunha going to pop off in the next few games? Bearing in mind that obviously Sesko is now out. Will Mount come in, drop a little bit deeper, and Cunha go up top a bit more?
Well, you're more into Man United than I am. So what are you saying?
I mean, I not enough to warrant going him over Mbeumo and Bruno. I don't think. I just Cunha's not going to be that guy for us. I don't think. And Mbeumo's the goal scorer. Bruno's the main creator, and Cunha is that kind of. He transitions the ball from midfield to attack so quickly. I just don't think he's going to be that guy that pops off consistently over a 5-6 week period. Really, and Mbeumo's the one you want to go for. I would say.
So even the fact that he leaves to AFCON, you just do it and then worry about it later with the transfers?
With the transfers, I think he's probably got enough potential to do enough damage and to get enough points over the next 5 weeks to justify doing it. I do still like Bruno. I see a few people going for the double up, and I don't know whether I trust us enough to go for the double up. But yeah, I think Mbeumo's probably got enough in the bank to do it personally.
Yeah, I'm not too enamoured by Cunha either, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think during AFCON, maybe, but Sesko's apparently might be back by then. Did we see today? Might be back around AFCON time.
I think we're going to struggle without Mbeumo and Ahmad. Both of them going, I think, is a massive loss. I think we're going to struggle a bit.
I think Ahmad's a big loss whenever he's not playing.
And their partnership, Ahmad and Mbeumo, are so good together as well. And we haven't had partnerships in about 10 years. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a big loss.
Yeah, I think you could argue Cunha, if he even plays up front, isn't exactly a centre forward either. And how much better is it for him? I don't really know. I think he's a good option. He's another one in that category of effective ownership that we're talking about that could quite easily pop off and is probably comparable to a lot of other options. So it probably just depends on your risk appetite.
Yeah. IXQUZ says, in what situation should we be free hitting this week? So how many flags and how many transfers do you think you should have? So if you're sat there with, I don't know, a Semeno, a Sesko, a Gabriel, a Calafiori, all those players that you think, you're looking at your team and thinking, my God. Bear in mind, obviously, if you do free hit, you get them back again next week, remember?
I was going to say.
Yeah. At what point do you think, I'd probably free hit this week?
Well, I think that's probably the most important thing to look at. Are these going to be a problem again the week after? Because if they are, then it's probably not a good idea to free hit. But I think generally the tools will tell you that a free hit this season in a single game week is usually you're looking at around 10 points benefit from it.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at your team and you think the free hit team is going to score more than 10 points to your current team, then you should just play it.
The only caveat with that, I guess, is that you lose a transfer as well, don't you? So
you do, but it's probably of any time to lose a transfer, it's probably around this period. It seems like it's all right because they get handed out like confetti.
Like you say, if they do have players that are going to be out next week as well,
I wouldn't do it now.
Yeah, It's a tough one, free hit. I don't fancy free hit this week either, but game week 13 is going to be very popular, I think. Oh, God, I just lost you. JC says, hi, Luke, how are you?
I'm fabulous. Hi, JC. How are you doing, mate?
There you go. Did we just become best friends?
He was on. I hope you were listening from the start because he was on the Solio pod as well, and he was very good too.
There you go. Gunnar Doy says best Pope replacements. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to Helen. Shout out to Helen today because she's wildcarding this week, and she had Petrovic in goal, and I said to her that I wasn't enamoured by Petrovic in goal because obviously if you're picking your goalkeeper today, you're going to have to keep them for the next kind of 15 weeks. And I feel like Petrovic and Dubravka, I wasn't overly keen on, if I'm perfectly honest. So if you had Pope now, who would you be moving to? Bearing in mind, Raya has gone up a lot since the beginning of the season. So who would you be going to?
Well, let's just discount Raya answer anyway because it's boring, isn't it, to say that? People will probably laugh, but I'm be tempted by the Man United goalkeeper. How much is he?
Oh, I don't know. 5? Is he 5?
That's the only bit I wasn't sure about how much he is. 'Cause I just think they get their sustained period of fixtures are quite good, and they're just a bit different. I know that they probably won't get many clean sheets, but I would say if you compare it to, was he 5? Probably wouldn't then, just because he's that 0.5 more. But I think if you looked at Man United and Bournemouth's games over the sort of the next 10 weeks or so, I think the clean sheets will be quite equal, relatively close. I think Petrovic is probably answer or Verbruggen. It's just one of those two, isn't it? At 4.5, probably Petrovic still.
Right. Quick fire for 3 minutes, Luke. Are you ready?
Okay.
Here we go. Right. Wayne Robinson says start Thiago or Timber.
Timber.
Ooh. Wolfman says Gabriel, Kudus to Munoz and Gakpo for a hit. So would you get rid of Gabriel and Kudus to Munoz and Gakpo?
Well, it's hard to know without the bench, isn't it? So I'll have to say yes because you've got 2 non-players to 2 good players. Yeah.
Ritwick George, most of these 3 minutes of me trying to work out the names, says, do I move to Munoz from Tarkovsky?
You said quickfire. I'm struggling with the quickfire element, Andy.
I don't think that's too bad.
Yeah, well, Munoz is a better pick. But do you have to use a transfer? It wasn't for a hit, right?
No.
I think he's a better pick, so I would do it if you've got nothing else to do, yeah.
FPL Bantam says, do I bring in Welbeck or Thiago this week?
If you can hide Thiago versus Arsenal, then I think Thiago is just the better pick. I think that everyone will probably have him at some point, and you're just ahead of the curve if you've got him.
Seb says, Bruno or Mbumo, if you had to pick one now?
Still Bruno.
Is it? Is that because
Always.
of AFCON? If AFCON wasn't there?
No, just the better pick. I know people hate me for that, but
Bruno's going to be higher EO, and Mbumo's basically the same and less EO. Surely you go for the lesser owned one.
Well, if that's what you want, comparable. If you're going for that angle, then fine. I'm happy with that. I'm okay with that. If you're asking who the better pick is, I still think it is Bruno. I know people hate that answer.
They do, because as soon as you say Bruno, they go review wanker. And it's like, exactly. No, sometimes you can't just like Bruno.
No, exactly. Gary Fitzpatrick in the Sky Days before review every week.
Gary Fitzpatrick says Sarr or Gakpo to bring in this week.
Well, Sarr's just a fun. How unlucky has Sarr been?
I know. Does it in every other game.
My tip at the beginning of the season, Sarr, remember the videos?
Yeah, no, I remember him. Yeah, you didn't pick him though, did you?
I didn't pick him. I got Mateta, who thinks scored more points though. So, for the next 4 weeks, I still think Sarr's got points in him. But after that, when they play Man City and he goes in a little bit of a harder run and the fixtures keep coming, then maybe you go elsewhere after that.
Yeah. Niek van der Voos says most nailed City defender long term, Luke.
The most nailed long term is still one of Gvardiol or Diaz.
Yeah.
Either one, really. They're both pretty much nailed.
Nice. And last one, J.K. Rowling says, is Saka essential?
No.
No one's essential, are they, Luke?
No one's essential. Look, I'm in the
Exactly.
same rank as you, the lofty heights of 800k without Haaland.
God, we're definitely not essential. Right. Thank you so much for the 800 people that are in the chat with us on a Friday evening. I'm almost finished my mega. Would Johnny Depp call that a mega pint of Corona? So thank you so much for joining me while we'll be doing that. Thank you so much for all of you that listen after this as well. This will be on pod, available for you tomorrow morning before the deadline. So make sure you lock in. Is it 11 o'clock, isn't it, deadline? Can't remember what the first game is now.
Yeah, it's Chelsea. Is it Chelsea?
Yeah, Burnley, Chelsea. Yeah. And there's a 5:30 game as well, isn't there? So thank you so much for joining us. We hope your arrows are green, obviously. Luke, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Obviously, it's been a while, but it's been great to have you back.
Thank you, mate. It's been a pleasure to be back. Hopefully, we can start doing them more often. I always say that, and then you won't see me for 4 months. So I'll catch you in a bit.
See you in Gameweek 28. Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll be seeing you soon. Drop a comment as well, because it does help our algorithms, and we love hearing lots of lovely things from all of you. So we'll be seeing you soon, and bye-bye. Cheers.